Starting part 3, I've changed around a couple of things. One of the things is that in the render settings, I had this option flicked off, volumetric lighting. Once you flick it on, you will actually see what your visible lights are doing. And this is the look that I was going for, so I had to switch that on. You can also tell that I put the key light overhead, the backlight more from the bottom, and that gives you this really nice effect. Now let's make this into a 2-engine ship. Let's start off with actually getting rid of this displacer, but leaving the displacement. Just going to mash conversion current state to object. Now I get a duplicate engine, get rid of this, and here we have everything with the lights set up, etc. Now let's move this one to 300 over the X, and let's make a copy and just put a minus in front of it. You can also use a symmetry object, but it won't duplicate the volumetric lights that are inside of this thing. So I decided just to make a copy. Right, now what are we going to do in the middle? Let's start off with an object like a tube and flip it the right way around, Z+. And let's start by making this outer radius really small, and then make it a long kind of tube, like this. Now you can also tell that there's no height segments, so let's put this up to 12. And let's put a fillet on it, and that fillet is way too big. Let's put it down to 8. And the number of segments 5, that's more than enough for our purpose. Maybe it should be a little bit more flatter, like this. Now we're going to have 2 openings at the ends, but we're going to change this shape quite a bit. Let's call this cabin, or control cabin, or whatever. And it's the body of the plane. And we're just going to make a construction later on with wings or something like that. I'm going to use deformations. I'm not going to model anything. So first of all, I like to taper this end of my ship. Now if I introduce the deformation taper, smart thing to do is see over which axis is actually going to be the deformation taking place. So it's the top over the y-axis. So if I flip it like this and make this into 90 degrees, and I just put it over this cabin thingy, I get this bottle-shaped spaceship. Well, it's supposedly a spaceship. So I'm just moving it up. So I get this nice tube, but I actually want to have it flat here. Now you can introduce more deformations. The only thing that you have to keep in mind is the order, because a different order will give different results. Now I'm just going to flick this taper off and put in an FFD object, one of my favorites, and flop this underneath the taper and just tell the FFD object to fit to the object and make it slightly bigger so that the cage overlaps the geometry. Now it needs more subdivisions over the z-axis, so I'm just going to add a couple here, say 6, and from the side view F3 I'm just going to select a bunch of points. Now my only select visible elements is off, so I'm selecting through the FFD object. I'm switching back to perspective, and here I can just scale it down to this sort of like fish mouth nozzle thingy, and maybe pump it up a little bit at the front, like this. Now I can do that to several points. For instance, put a bit of a hump on it and put this one down, so I can actually put a cover here, like a window. And let's see what we can do. Let's take these 3 points at the back and move them up. So we get this weird shape, egg shape, end of the engine. Maybe put something in it later on, but there's actually no need if we make a 2.5D pre-rendered spaceship. This is good enough. I do want to have it at the front. So, if you make this invisible, you don't have to bother with the blue lines and all that. Let's see if it makes a difference. If I plop this in here, nope, this won't make any difference. Let's just, for one example, put in a bend with a certain strength. Let's rotate this around. Holding down the shift key can then you actually snap into 10 degrees increments. Let's put it like this, right? And plop it into the cabin. Now here you can see this does not add up, and it completely cracks open your geometry. But if I put it down here, it actually makes a nice little bend in it. Well, maybe I should just leave it like that. So you can tell if I, for instance, do this, I screw up my model. If I do this, I screw up my model. It looks kind of interesting. Nah, I'm just going to leave it like that. Right, up to the next chapter.